Hey everyone, so welcome to Roto's Questions, and this is the Good News episode 3. So it's been a few weeks since I shared some good news with all of you, and so I just wanted to make this quick video and just to, keep it going and keep the good news going because we need a lot more of it out there. So let's just get right into it. There's a few stories I really want to talk about. And I want to start with a story about a Canadian man that recently did an incredible journey on his wheelchair. He did this journey to protest and raise awareness about the Northern Gateway and some of the proposed pipelines. And whether you agree with this issue or not doesn't really matter. Because what's important here is that this man did not let his handicap get in the way of fighting for what he believes in. I mean, he can't even walk. He's in a wheelchair, and yet he still went on a 1,400-kilometer journey just to like I said, raise awareness and protest something that he believes in. So I believe in doing that, he showed tremendous character, courage, and heart. And we can all learn a lesson from this because there's never, ever any excuse to not fight for what you want. Never. No excuse at all. If this man can go on this kind of journey when he's on a wheelchair, all the excuses and crap that we make up for not doing something is like, what is it? It's nothing. So let's all learn something from this guy and just go out and fight for what we want. Because if we don't, I don't think anybody else will. It's got to start with you. So staying on the same topic of oil and oil sands here in Alberta and BC and Canada, I want to share a story about a local Alberta girl who has developed a new filtration system that cleans up toxic waste produced from the tar sands and all that, cleans it up 14 times faster than conventional methods. I think that's pretty brilliant, as it's just a teenage girl that's done this. So, with big oil and all their billions of dollars can't come up with something, but this teenage girl can. It's crazy, right? What are they really spending all their money on? Do they really even care about the environment? Do they even want to clean it up? If a teenage girl with, I don't think she's got $1 billion behind her, can come up with something to do it way better than they can. It's pretty crazy. So, we all know that the tar sands and oil production is killing our environment and our planet. So this way it can be a lot more waste can be cleaned and a lot faster too. So I hope this girl gets her invention produced and in the field because, we need to save our planet and this can help with that fight. So if you want to learn more about that, I think it was in the Google Science Fair, so you can just look that up or look her up. All right, so now going south of the border into the United States, there's a pretty amazing story that's coming out of Vermont. The city in the state of Vermont named Burlington is the largest city in Vermont, and they've done something that I believe is truly amazing that I hope every city in the world can eventually do, hopefully sooner than later. So Burlington, Vermont now gets all its power needs from renewable sources, which is crazy. So these sources include, just wind, water, biomass, just all kinds of different things. They don't just use one source, which to me is the way every city should be doing it. We should never ever just depend on one thing. It's like the old saying, don't put all your marbles in the same bag, because then what happens when that bag goes missing? I mean, how many people have suffered through a power outage? I've been through many. So what if we had 2 different sources or 3 different sources? These power outages would never happen, or they would happen a lot less frequently. And I know this is a bigger issue in the United States than it is here in Canada, but it does affect everybody. And so this just shows, like Burlington isn't just some small town with 500 people. I believe their population is around 42,000, somewhere around there. So it just shows that cities of any size can learn a lesson from the folks in Burlington and get all of their power from renewable sources. So like I said, I hope this spreads to areas all over the world. So staying in the United States and just moving over to Ferguson, Missouri, that's where, a lot of the world's eyes have been focused for the last month or two, because that's where Mike Brown was shot, an unarmed black teenager who was killed by a white police officer, just telling it like it is. So there's been a lot of stuff going on down there. So something positive that's come out of this whole fiasco down there is that there's a man that created a neighborhood watch program that arms people with video cameras. So this is just a way to hold the police and civilians accountable. It's not just aimed at, let's record all the crimes that the police commit, because, whether we want to admit it or not, they're committing crimes out there. I don't think there's one police force that doesn't have one bad apple out there that's committing crimes. So it's a way just to hold them accountable, because now their actions are going to be pretty much out there for the whole world to see. These people will be patrolling all the neighborhoods where they've had problems with police and stuff. So things are getting out of hand with the police and police brutality, police corruption, and all that, especially in the States. And so to me, this is a step in the right direction. If you see something happening, film it. People need to be held accountable for their actions, and what better way to do that than with video recording? So too many times police and others get away with vicious crimes because there's no evidence to charge them. Because let's face it, who is the media going to believe? And who is the media going to make the people believe? Who is the government going to believe? Who are the judges going to believe? Are they going to believe, a 10-year veteran cop? Or are they going to believe a black teenager? It's the sad truth, but really, who are they going to believe? So now, at least this way, hopefully there'll be more eyes on the police, more eyes on the citizens, and just more truth out there. So that's what I hope comes out of this. It's just more truth for whoever that truth helps, or for whoever that truth hurts, because it really doesn't matter. All right, so crossing the ocean now over to Sweden. I just want to talk about one of the programs they have going on. Sweden has always been ahead of the world in a lot of various programs, and mostly when it comes to recycling their waste. In 2012, they were recycling 96% of their waste. And now, that seems really crazy. Like, how do you get better than that? Well, now in 2014, they've jumped up to 99%. That's crazy. They're recycling 99% of their waste. How amazing is that? So they have a lot of strategies for achieving such a high percentage, which you can easily read if you look up. I'm not going to get into all of that. But they've gotten so good at recycling all of their waste that now they're even importing waste from other European countries. They have a plan to import 800,000 tons. Let that number sink in for a little bit. 800,000 tons of waste from other European countries just to fuel one of their programs that turns waste into energy. Bravo, Sweden. 99% of their waste, and now they've done such a good job. They're bringing in waste from other countries. It's crazy. I wish Canada was doing that. But, we're not. Hopefully we will be soon. So hopefully everyone learns from Sweden, because that's just another way. So this kind of ties into what I was saying about Burlington, Vermont, and how they get all their energy from renewable sources. If Canada was to develop something like Sweden has, where they turn waste into energy, we could start being one of those places that gets all of our energy from renewable sources. All right, so a lot of the world's eyes have also been focused on Palestine in the last few months. So during this recent conflict with Israel, there was a vision camp that was set up there to bring people together. Israelis and Palestinians and anyone else really in the region who want to stand together and to show that they don't want war. They want to show that we can't be forced to be enemies. So their motto for the vision camp is we refuse to be enemies. It shows that the people of the world, and especially of this region, don't want war. The only people that want war are the governments and corporations and, you know, the people that are pulling the strings behind the scenes. So these people showed tremendous courage and strength in doing this in the middle of a war zone. So it's pretty crazy. You know, you can look them up also again if you want to learn more. And, you know, once again, just like the guy in the wheelchair, there's never an excuse to fight for what you believe in. He overcame his handicap of being in a wheelchair, and these people are overcoming living in a war zone to fight for peace. All right, so I want to end this week's episode with, you know, a story about a young boy who, you know, is pretty much in a fight for his life. And his family is in a fight for their livelihood, I guess, their livelihood and for keeping their son. You know, so it's just this young boy, his name is Landon. If you want to look him up, you can look up Team Landon. And he's 4 years old right now. And he was diagnosed on September 30th, 2012 with leukemia. His doctors gave him a 10% chance of surviving past the next month. He obviously made it further than that. You know, so for the first 30 days after he was diagnosed, you know, his family did what, you know, the majority of families do. They started to use chemo. And this had devastating results for them. You know, so after those initial 30 days, they began to use cannabis oil to combat the disease. And this improved his quality of life so dramatically, so drastically that the family actually relocated to Colorado, where marijuana is legal, to be able to have access to this medicine, to be able to have safe access to this medicine. You know, it's crazy that in supposedly, you know, a free world and a free country, that somebody has to move just to get safe access to medicine. And ever since then, they've been trying not to use chemo, which is kind of what the family's battle is about, because they have laws down there where kids are pretty much forced into chemo, which is crazy in its own right. You know, and since they've used cannabis oil, they've stopped using steroids in this treatment plan. You know, so this family is raising funds also, you know, not just for the treatment, but they're also going to court to try and change the standard of forced chemotherapy on children. You know, because like even right now, as I make this video, the state is attempting to take Landon away from his mom just because she doesn't want to use chemo. And even like his recent blood work results all show that he's cancer free, and yet they still want to force him to use chemo. And they still want to take him away from his family for not forcing him to use chemo. It's crazy. You know, I believe that there's always a choice on how to fight a disease. There's never just one way, just like in everything. There's never just one way to do something. There's always 10 million ways to do something. You know, so I believe freedom of choice is a fundamental right that everyone should have. It should never be taken away from anyone, especially in a country that claims to be, you know, a free country, you know, land of the free. Like, come on, really? So yeah, if you want to learn more about them, the website is offerhopeforlandon.com. You can also donate money for them to help fight with their causes, to help with this treatment. You know, so that's pretty much all I have for this week. And like always, you know, like it, share it, show anyone that likes to hear about good news. And if you have any good news stories for me, just email rotosquestions@outlook.com, or, you know, look it up on Facebook, Rotos Questions, YouTube, Rotos Questions channel, a few other ones. You can just look at the website or anything. So yeah, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching.